take note
Okay.
on how much you can get out of a 15-minute session with David Meltzer, the hyper conscious podcast duo, Kevin and Alan. What's going on, boys?
What is happening, Dave?
It's time to fire it up. We had Gus Frerotte, NFL superstar. We had Mark Gillis, entrepreneurial superstar. Now I got the mentees, my two greatest students. Thank you for joining me, my friend. Let's show people how we learn quickly.
All right. So Alan and I were talking about something the other day, and he brought something to my attention that I may have misspoken about. I don't understand infinity and the infinite game, I think, at the level that I need to. Can you explain what infinity actually means in terms of whether it's energy or currency, whatever it is? Can you go into that for me?
Yeah, the reason that most people can't understand infinity is that no matter whether you look through a microscope as far as it goes, or you look through a telescope as far as you grow, the view is never grandeur, meaning that we can't even fathom unlimitedness. Like we can't fathom. It's like when I tell people you can't out ask the universe. And so I'll say, so what do you want? And they're like, I want to make $1 million. No. Didn't you hear me? The universe is infinite. You can't ask out. Oh, okay. I want to make $1 billion. No. Right? Like we're already limiting ourselves with what we perceive as enough. And no pun intended towards Mark Gillis there. I'm talking about true infinity is to put yourself into a position that you have complete faith that there's more than enough of everything for everyone. There's more. Everything already exists, and it's your opportunity to allow it to come into your life. Like it's an amazing concept. And so I don't think that I understand infinity because I have challenges. You know, we talked about, I think in one of our coaching sessions, maybe years ago, about how I could never connect the dots backwards to make over $1 billion, right? I just couldn't figure it out. And that's a true aspect of not understanding infinity, right? I don't have the faith that there is everything for everyone, and that somehow I have scarcity, limiting beliefs, judgments, conditions, obstacles, voids, and shortages that stand between me and infinity. And that true light, that truth, is something that we need to pursue and practice. And I think the better question for the boys today is, are we pursuing the infinity? You know, just bringing yourself to awareness of, hey, you know, I kind of talked about the 8 that's on its side, the horizontal 8 that people call infinity, but have I really grasped the magnitude of what David means when he says you cannot out ask the universe because it's infinite?
So this came up because we did an episode recently, and I heard Kevin say something along the lines of,
I was talking about money, and I said
Right.
a lot of people think there's
it was scarcity versus abundance.
Yeah, a lot of people think there's a certain amount of money and they don't think there's enough for them. And I said, at some point, I think that amount of money is finite. And then afterwards, Alan was like, well, it's kind of isn't. And I was like, I don't get that, I guess.
So the analogy that I tried to explain to him, there's a book called The Richest Man in Babylon that you've probably heard of. And it talks about, okay, so I use this analogy with Kevin. I said, if we had $1 million and we want to build a palace, we can spend that $1 million. The $1 million doesn't go away. The workers get that, and then they feed their families and they build their homes. Now the palace is worth $2 million. Okay, because it was built so amazingly. Then on top of that, every home around the palace is now worth more because it's a valuable asset. So it is infinite. It's not a zero-sum game. It's not a poker game. So for you, Dave, how do we get people to realize that other people do not have to lose for you to win, especially around this thing called money? How do we live from abundance with money?
How beautiful is that? Because you just nailed it, right? Why is it that if I have something, that means someone else doesn't? Right? It is the idea where I was born into, even the philanthropic idea that the more that I give, the more that I get. The more that I give, the more that I get is still in that scarce mindset. People confuse philanthropy for abundance. They're not equal, right? You could be philanthropic and scarce. I was. And so I think it's really important to understand that it isn't a zero-sum game, that just because, you have something doesn't mean that someone else has not. You could not be sick enough to make someone well, right? And, what actually happens, in my opinion, is the more that you expand, accelerate, and grow, the more that you have, like the palace example, the more value you bring to others, and all tides rise with you and your vibration and your frequency. And so, to help people understand and illustrate that is to receive more yourself and allow it to come through you for others, and see whether it's monetary or not. My own content is taking that life, every single day now. Obviously, you two were some of the first people that inspired me to continue on, because you quantitatively would tell me what a direct result I was having in my abundant attitude towards you, and in helping, and then you rising and elevating others as well. And now it's like there's people I don't even know. Every day, I do office hours and other things where people are like, oh my gosh, you did this and this. And I'm thinking, gosh, for every one person that's telling me, how many thousands of people are out there that are just living that. And it's unfathomable what capacity that we all have when we understand that just because I have something doesn't mean you can't have it, or you don't have it, or I've taken away from somewhere else. Right? There isn't a diminished capacity. We have to remember too, money in particular, it doesn't disappear. Right? We live in an expansive environment. That means that there is more than enough. It's continually expanding to hold what our perceptions dictate it needs to hold. It's not a closed environment where disruption is just going to fold the entire environment. It actually likes to be challenged. It likes the learning curve. It likes to be expanded upon so that it can hold more and more. And you're part of that vessel.
Is there anything that you should be scarce with? Alan and I were talking about this the other day. Like, should you say that I'm scarce with my time because I know how valuable it is, or is that negative? So is there anything?
Time's infinite, right? That's a hard one. I'm doing my training on Friday. They got a ticker below, right? Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. You reach out to me because time is infinite, right? You can bend time, you can change time. I'll prove time's infinite, and it's not a man-made construct. If you're scarce with time, then you're utilizing it as a man-made construct. If you want to put it into the realm of infinity, go ahead, look backwards and see how quickly time has passed, and look forward to what you want and see how long time feels. So there are different energies to them. So once again, time is infinite. There's, a variable of how time works. And if you could move at the speed of light, does time disappear? No, but it's infinite. Right? And I think they've proven in Paris, a small particle has moved at the speed of light, right? Has gone back 2 seconds in time. So time's infinite once you can move backwards in it, right? You can move backwards, forwardways, sideways, or upways, just like Willy Wonka said. And it's true, though. Mathematically, it's proven. We just don't have the technology to effectuate it for everyone. But why put ourselves into any scarce mind? The thing I'd like to be scarce is the ego. Right, I'd like the ego to be scarce, but it's unfortunately as well part of the abundant, expansive, and infinite universe.
So I'm going to ask you a question that I've talked to several people about, and I never fully understood it. And this is going to be a little bit physicsy.
We're going to go off the rails.
E equals MC squared. Okay. I always was a math guy, and I take a picture of Kevin and I send it from my phone to you in California. I took mass, made it into energy, sent it to you, and now it's on your phone. We can easily take mass and make it as energy. Let's say I burn a log, and then now that's wood, tangible material, in mass into energy. Equations are supposed to go both ways. We just don't know how to go back yet. Do you believe teleportation is going to exist in the future, and why?
Oh, it already exists, right? Because time's infinite. And yes, because math would tell you can re-engineer any which way you want to go, upways, backways, downways, sideways.
Right.
So if you're able to change the molecular construct of something into a different form of energy, why couldn't you turn it back into that form? Right? look, there's a time when people couldn't figure out how to make water ice and ice water, right? They couldn't figure that out, how to do that. It's if we can take water, turn it into ice, turn it back into water, we can take Kevin, send him to California and back again, and materialize him. Yeah.
3 heads. No.
I'm gonna
do that too. You can do that too.
I'm gonna steal, and 1 head's good enough for me. I'm gonna steal Alan's question because we kind of came up with it together. So if I could only learn from one person for the rest of my life, obviously, this is a hypothetical. It would either be you or Brendan Burchard, because I love what you guys are about. I love what you talk about.
I'm hoping you're saying people that are alive, right?
Yes. Okay. If I painted that same picture for you, if you could only learn from one person, be mentored by one person living for the rest of time, who would that person be and why?
Would either be Dr. Gladys, who's 100-year-old. She brought holistic medicine to America. She has both an academic and a medical and math background, as well as life experience in the energies and holistic Eastern and Western sciences. So she would absolutely be one of those people. Bob Proctor, your Canadian brother up there, it'd absolutely be someone with much more experience than me, beyond anything else. And that's not just academic experience, but be able to coordinate and coalesce interesting information by utilizing historical experience in order to effectuate how human nature is perceiving the scientific advancements that we've experienced now, and how I should look at them moving forward in order to accelerate, like you said, the ability to re-engineer things and put them back together, forward, sideways, and et cetera. So Dr. Gladys or Bob Proctor would be the 2 people right now.
I've said a formula before: knowledge plus experience plus reflection equals wisdom. Can you poke holes in that and try to make that better? And also, is that why you would want to learn from someone like Bob Proctor? Because he has more experience and knowledge and reflection on that experience and knowledge? Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, perfect. No, I think you're right. So first of all, I think you're missing one thing, is skill. So knowledge, you talked about knowledge and experience. What was the third?
So knowledge plus experience plus reflection equals wisdom. So I'm missing skill.
Yeah. So I would add skills and intention. So I don't mind reflection, because reflection is a heightened awareness. But I think if you have skills, knowledge, intention in there, then you're really going to have that awareness instead of wisdom. Remember, awareness is a vibration. It's a frequency. And so even amongst things, that if we can elevate our awareness, things become very simple, which is why I trace calligraphies to elevate and have downloads of awareness, so that things to me, and I see things differently now for a variety of reasons, because I trust and put faith in just awareness and allow things to happen. And I'm in much more control in that respect. So I think skill is an important feature, right? So in order to have skills, you can learn skills from somebody. The great batting coaches can help develop your skills to hit a baseball better than they can. So I think skill would be something that I would have aligned, supplementary, or synergistic to an outcome, or something that I want. A what, I would say, a what, not an outcome, a what in my life. So I would add those things.
What do you think your strongest skill is?
Kindness.
Can you define kindness for us in that regard?
Yeah. So having the ability to find the light, the love, and the lessons in everything and everyone.
You got a little emotional when you said that. Can I ask you, I think that our purpose comes from that. There's this one story I've told you about. You've probably heard Wayne Dyer say it, the Teddy story. And I read it to my girlfriend the other night, and I was like convulsing, crying for like 5 to 10 minutes afterwards. And there's something about believing in someone who's going through a hard time when they're a kid that I was Teddy. in a lot of ways. And, I lost my father when I was 2, and I just feel like that drives me every day. So for you, that emotion that we saw come out of you, what's the source of that, and how do you help other people find theirs?
Yeah, I think it's the importance of it. Like, I think anyone that's experienced the ability just to be kind and the effect it has on people and how frustrating it is, to have the patient, the simple idea of kindness, right? And yet, with everything going on, I get emotional because it's such a simple philosophy to just take a deep breath and ask yourself, even my mentor, she's in her 70s, my aunt, and she was extremely frustrated. My uncle turned 86 on July 5th. And there's people that were walking around without masks. And obviously that puts her, especially my uncle 86, at risk. And so she politely asked, "Oh, would you mind wearing a mask?" To someone, and was attacked for it. Like literally attacked. And it was like, whether you are political or angry or whatever, these simple things that then created this whole downstream of anger and hurt, and went through the family text messages, and everyone's now commenting and ruining the birthday, and just attracting more negative energy, and I just simply piped in, "Oh, someone taught me to pray for their happiness." Right. Right. In other words, can't we just be kind? Like, I can't give you one situation that you can't be better off, but it takes faith, right? It takes faith to say, "You know what? I'm just going to walk away from that. That guy ripped me off. He obviously needs it more than me. I'm going to pray for his happiness. I'm just going to be kind." And trust that the world is infinite. The universe is infinite. And that, I'm not doing it to trade for something better. I've done it to, like you said, that just because I don't have it doesn't mean that I have less. And just because they have it doesn't mean they have more. Right. And kindness is so simple. And I will challenge both of you this week. Take what I say and experiment with it, and just stop yourself like a ferocious Buddha and say, next time I feel not good, when I feel frustrated, angry, and need to be right, offended, separate, inferior, superior, anxious, any of those things, resentful, and just say, whoa, 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 what's the kind thing to do? Take all of my interests. I'm going to trust that there's an infinite world of everything, of more than enough of everything for everyone. And I'm going to allow that person to do that to me. I'm going to allow that person to learn their lessons. I'm going to allow that person to experience kindness, even in the face of attack, a judgment, or condition, in the face of scarcity, of anger, of attack, whatever it may be. Watch, can you reach a level of forgiving the unforgivable? You're not going to get there without kindness.
We talked about that recently. That's like the $1 billion question. But did you decide, I know like you have very big aspirations. You want to impact 1 billion people. What about your character? So like Alan and I do a lot of that. I want to be the best man. I want to be successful podcaster, speaker. But like when I lay my head down at night, it's so important to me that I did the right thing and I was a good person. Is that for you just your morals, your values? Or did you decide like, I want to be a better version of David in terms of like only what I feel, not even what people see?
Yeah, no, that enjoyment of the consistent, persistent pursuit of my potential, and being able to take inventory of my values and decide what my potential today is going to be, what I want to focus in on, what I prioritize. It's just like Black Lives Matter. People are focusing in and creating energy and separation when they have a huge opportunity to say, look, don't get mad at someone because they say all lives matter. Educate them that we need to prioritize Black lives. Of course, all lives matter. Everyone agrees that all lives matter, except for we need to prioritize Black lives now because there's some incongruencies and some, discrimination that has been historical in nature that needs to be changed. And it's not going to change unless we prioritize that. I think we get caught up in the wrong things and the wrong energy and the wrong perspective. And that some of these things can be solved very, very simply with practice and perspective of pursuing our own potential and knowing what it is that we want to pursue. And it could be, look, I just want to be the best 52-year-old jogger today that I can be. And that's the potential that if that's what I want, that's my life. My values can be that today. And I'm happy to be a hypocrite. And today's not going to change up there that my main priority in my life is to empower 1 billion people to be happy. But it's going to be to run the best 3 miles that I've ever run. That could be the priority for my day. I'm okay with that because guess what? It's my potential. And I'm going to enjoy the pursuit of my expansive being. And that's where it all changed for me.
Powerful. I know we want to be respectful of time.
Yeah, we'll keep
I do
you
have
on
one
here
more
all
question.
day.
Keep it going, man. We put you on early so I can get some extra time.
Nice,
okay, awesome. Thank you. So I did have one question that I wanted to ask you because Kevin and I have set the intention prior to even being fathers that we do want to be. Both of us grew up without fathers, and we want to be the best fathers we can possibly be. What have you learned from being a father that you would tell to someone like Kevin or myself?
Love your kids. So, it's amazing. They come through you as well, right? Your kids aren't for you. And so many parents, they get confused that their kids are for them. Their kids are through you, right? There's a Wayne Dyer lesson. My kids come through me for others as well. So, I always joke around. The lesson I learned, the very first lesson of being a parent was from the nurse when I had my first child, Marissa, and I was terrified to go home, right? It hits you, that first child. You're like, what? They're going to give me a baby? What's going on here? Wait a second. And so I joke around, but I didn't want to leave the hospital on my first kid. By my fourth kid, we were out of there in 17 hours trying to break every rule going, okay, we got this. Just let us go home already. This is ridiculous, But when I was leaving, terrified, the nurse could tell I was terrified. And I was holding the baby in this tight. She was 5 pounds when she was born, holding her like a football in that little wrapped up, typical American hospital little white blanket they give you. And I was terrified. And the lady looked at me and I choke up just saying it. She's like, oh, she's a baby doll. I go, what? She goes, are you worried? I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm scared. She goes, just love your baby. That's it. Oh, I'm sitting here choking up right now because, kids have COVID. I have quarantined my kids here. They got colleges, all types of things going on that have nothing to do with me, right? And yet you deal with their growing and learning and whatever, and you sit there going, my job's just to love them, right? So I don't give a shit if they hate me because I make them stay in the 4th of July because I'm trying to teach them to be kind because they come through me. And 20 years from now, when they see, this is what my dad was about, right? This is what he's about. That'll mean something.
How do you learn that, Dave? From the time we've met you, your ability to be abundant in terms of I'm going to pray for this person's happiness, even though they've done a terrible thing, or time, just keep doing what you're doing. I know you got frustrated with me a couple times early in the coaching because I was asking you very hey man, tell me what do I do now? How can somebody who doesn't have maybe the math background or understanding that the universe as much as you do get into that and understand put in the hard work, pray for people's happiness, but believe and have that faith? Where does that faith come from?
Yeah, it's a blend, right? It's a practice. Whatever level of faith that you have, just expand it a little bit more. Allow yourself to experience faith itself. And I tell that story, still do, about how 100% of the time when I make a faithful decision, one of the tricks of making a faithful decision is to take time out of the equation, right? So I ask myself, would I make this decision to keep my kids quarantined? Would I keep my kids quarantined for 4th of July if there's no such thing as time, right? And then I put it into respect that if there's no such thing as time, they'll have plenty of 4th of July's. They'll have plenty of time to spend with their friends. And it's much more important to keep people safe. And I don't know, by sending them out on 4th of July to parties and beaches, etc., what one person they may accidentally come in contact that either they infect or get infected with, that may have someone that is at risk, that may cause a death, right? This is a true thing that goes through my head. And then I have faith that, that I'm doing the right thing. And every time I make that faithful decision, sooner or later, it's the best decision, right? And in the short term, sometimes it hurts so bad. And you sit there and go, gosh, nobody else is doing this. All the other kids are out doing that. Why do I have to be this dad, right? And then it all comes back. And even though I know every decision I make on faith is the best decision, I still sometimes compromise that and blend in the pragmatic world of saying, oh, it's okay. I'm going to let her do this. Okay. It's okay. I'm going to make a decision off of money. I'm going to ignore somebody cheating or lying or manipulating me. I'm just right. Instead of, I'm going to pray for their happiness. I don't need to surround myself with the wrong people and the wrong ideas. I don't need to surround myself with people that bleed me. Right. I'm going to make a tougher decision. I don't care what they say about me. They can, whether or not they say it or not, that's their opinion. I know exactly why I'm making my life decisions and business decisions. And if they don't agree with it, they're not aligned. It's okay that somebody doesn't like you for the decisions that you make. And faith is something that is a practice. And I'm not faithful 100% of the time. I just know I'm more faithful every day.
Powerful. We have time for one more, Dave?
Last question, boys. You got it.
Last question. Okay, so I talked to Kevin about this before we got in this room. And you've heard the quote that most people in the personal development industry say from Jim Rohn, you are the sum average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Can we go into some of the more tangible, practical reasons as to why that is? Because we do see that everywhere, right? If you're around wealthy people, you'll end up more wealthy. If you're around in shape people, you'll end up more in shape. But from your perspective, what are a couple tangible reasons as to why that is, and why those influences and associations are so critical to how our life turns out and the choices we make?
Because we're communal beings. We're actually communal beings that are connected to everything and everyone. So the things that we put most relative to us, people, ideas, whatever it is that we put most relative to us, right? Because everything has a proximity of energy to us. The things that are closest to us have the most draw and pull to us. They have the most impact on us, right? Because we're all connected in one being. And so we can feel it more, and we take on as one being more of what's closest to us. And so if you have the 5 people closest to you that are giving you the ideas, the experiences, the relationships, all of these different things, it's very obvious that you are more like the 5 people that are closest to you than the 5 people that live in Abu Dhabi that you don't know. Even though you're still connected to the 5 people in Abu Dhabi, they don't have the energetic impact on you. They don't have any true, I think, pull or draw to you other than they're part of you. And until they have an awareness, once you become aware of somebody in Abu Dhabi, then they become more relative. And then when you become and spend a night, out at a bar with them, they become more relative. And then when you start hanging out with them every day or becoming roommates with them, or, they become very relative. And of course, the 5 people that are the closest to you are going to have the most impact, draw and pull from you. And if there's 5 people all with similar energy, you just by course are going to take on the energy of the 5. You're not going to pull up all 5. Right. So I'm very, and it's funny because as, I have elevated my frequency and awareness, I've had to remove that 5, because I just passed it. And it's not that they're not in my lives. It's not that I'm literally, they're not as relative.
Right.
They're not as relative because I have a pursuit of my potential. And if you're not in that pursuit with me of being my higher self, I am moving on.
Right. That's so powerful.
Yeah.
It's like Disneyland, boys. You only go back to the teacups when you got a kid who that's an amazing experience, just so you can share in their excitement, but you don't go back for yourself to experience it.
That's powerful.
You're right. And so many people want to live on the teacups and they haven't gone and visited the new Star Wars exhibit. Right. Yeah, and I'll tell you, like, as someone, the first time I went on some of those rides down in Florida at Universal, it was life shattering. And I thought to myself, what a different frequency. Like when I was a little boy on It's a Small World, that thing like amazed me, and the Pirates of the Caribbean amazed me, and the Haunted, Mansion amazed me. And now, at 48 years old, whenever I went on the Harry Potter or the Spider-Man thing at Universal, I'm like, is this even the same world? I go, this is like going to the future. And it's like, why would I ride It's a Small World again, other than to revisit something compared to expanding and growing and accelerating? And that's what we do with the people around us, the ideas around us. We want to continue to expand and grow our frequency. So look for the new 5 people. You don't have to not be grateful for the 5 that were with you before, but don't let them bleed you.
Powerful.
That is powerful.
Yeah.
Dave, thank you so much. We learned so much from you. It's unreal. We appreciate you so much.
Oh man, I appreciate you. I know you guys still come to my Friday trainings. We're doing time management, time perception. It's all about time, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. And if you guys miss it because you're in Canada, just go to the podcast, The Playbook, which you guys are on now too. Yeah. It's one of my favorite episodes if you check Kevin and Alan and I out. But the replays are awesome. And please, everyone, the best thing is it's free. My books are free. My guides are free. Exercise are free. I am doing a pitch competition July 24th. So any young entrepreneurs out there, go ahead, reach out, david@dmeltzer.com, 949-298-2905. Check these boys out, the Hyperconscious Podcast. Always so grateful. This is a true example of elevating others to elevate yourself. You guys elevate me so much. You make my entire week. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Dave.
you,
We
Dave.
appreciate
this
you.
was awesome. Thank you so much.